All right, come everybody. We're about to enter into the Garden of Gethsemane. Buenos días, Benito. ¿Cómo le va?
Muy bien.
Que lo pase lindo. ¿Cómo están?
Igualmente.
Hola. The Garden of Gethsemane is the place that Jesus knew very well. This being the place that he came to every time that he ascended to Jerusalem. At least 3 times a year during the Feast of Pentecost, Passover, and Feast of Tabernacles. The 3 festivals of ascent. And because Jesus felt here very comfortable, this is where he chose to come to following the Last Supper, and here spent the last of his hours agonizing and awaiting to the inevitable. Now Jesus didn't want to die. He said, "Father, this cup is too full. Let it pass from me if it is at all possible." And history shows us that every time that Jesus asked for something, it was immediately granted to him. But here, for the first time, Jesus asked for something that is not going to be. Maybe because he had asked for something for himself and not for others. And knowing that it was not going to be fulfilled, he immediately corrected himself, saying, "But let your will be done, not mine." And with that said and done, he was then at peace with himself. And when the soldiers came, together with Judas, that kissed him and thus betrayed him, pointing him out to the Romans, Peter, wanting to save his master, drew out his sword and cut off the ear of the slave of the high priest. But Jesus said, "No, not with violence will I go," attached the ear back to its place, and went with them calmly, like a lamb going to the slaughterhouse. Take a look over here. Jasmine. Smells wonderful. In this garden, there are some olive trees that are very, very old, some including dating back more than 2,000 years. And I say actually 2031. Do you know why? Because 31 years ago, when I started guiding, they told me it's 2,000 years old, and I know how to do math. So, 2031. Some bougainvillea. And look at the amazing trees. Just over there we can see the gate, the Golden Gate, or the Gate of Mercy, that we saw from the top of Mount of Olives. The gate that was shut by the Muslims end of the 7th century to prevent the entrance of the Messiah. Alain ya habibi. בוקר טוב, סבח אל-חיר. כיפק? כן. So we're going to see now the Church of Agony, also known as the Church of All Nations, because many countries have financed the building of this church. Here's the ancient olive tree, and we're going to deal with it shortly after the visit of this church. Okay. Now the church is called the Church of Agony because it is over the rock on which Jesus sweated blood, sweat, and tears, awaiting for the inevitable. Here he suffered and agonized, waiting. If you look inside, you'll be able to see the stone itself, and on it there is an altar that is shaped, the base of it is shaped like a chalice, the cup that is too full. Now the church is very dark inside. It's actually very sad looking because this is where Jesus suffered and agonized, awaiting for the inevitable. Now, the church itself was built in 1938 by the Italian architect Berlucci. And he, every time that we see anything of his, we know for certain that the church is upkept by the Franciscans being the ones that received what is called the Custodia di Terra Santa, the guardianship of the Holy Land. All right, let's go inside. I cannot really speak inside the church, so I'll be just pointing out to you quietly what it is that we'll be seeing. And later on, when we come back, if there are any questions, I'll be able to answer them.